2001, the boom, the dot-com boom became the dot-com bust. Everything collapsed. It was mayhem. Our entire technology world collapsed around us. Everyone lost jobs. And in that process, I lost my job as well. What is plan B and plan C? Plan A was US, wo nahi hua. Plan B was job chala gaya. And therefore, plan C was, why don't I do an MBA?
I have with me a Mumbaikar who is been a banker all his life. His journey is obviously going to be very different from some of the speakers that we've heard so far. And there is obviously a lot of grit in his story, and we'll know more about it from him. So Manish, thank you for doing this. So first simple question, why did you take up engineering and why did you not join your family business?
I think sort of joining the family business, and I do come from a business background. All my family, extended family, is all business, and that's the nature of the community. But that was somehow inherently never an option for me. I think the reason for that is I've had a very played, straightforward sort of journey throughout my career. I'm extremely risk-averse as a person. And so, once you're that, business is automatically a very, very difficult thing to do. And I was very clear. I wanted to do what I'm doing now, which is, work in the corporate banking world. I'm fortunate enough to be working in the payment space where there's so much going on, as some of you might know. But it was not a decision that was, that I had to make. It kind of got made for me, and I'm going to now try and answer your second question around engineering. I didn't really take up engineering. Engineering happened to me. Engineering started, I said, chalo, theek hai, sab kar rahe, hum bhi karenge. I first couple of years, does everybody know what A.T.K.T. is? Up, tapka, cup, tapka. So I had, my first couple of years was full of A.T.K.T.s. I was, all over the place. I was actually inside a Viral local, not knowing what the hell was happening to me. Tried to get off at Andheri, couldn't get off. So we had these few of us who had A.T.K.T. said, "Arey, Bill Gates kar sakta hai, to hum bhi karenge." Look what happened to him. Let's all drop out, and do something about it. But thankfully, nobody allowed us to get off at Andheri. So battered, bruised, reached, sort of somehow got my engineering degree, computer engineering degree at that. Reached Virar, got off the train, and I was back to not knowing what to do. So, but yeah, so I mean, short answer is business was never an option. I had to do sort of, and therefore I had to sort of study, I had to do engineering. That was the thing to do that time.
So again, you are confused after engineering, what do I do? So it's like, again, MBA also happened because?
It was by elimination. So by the end of, again, for those of you who've done engineering, the default, and this was, guys, I'm old, 2001, right, when I did my engineering. Just preceding that, so in the late 90s or so, there was this massive internet .com boom, right? Think of it as, the crypto of today, right? It was the most happening thing. There were jobs all over the place. On engineering campus, large tech companies used to come, literally with trucks, actually not figuratively with trucks, and, used to hire everyone they could see, right? Specialization didn't matter. That poor chemical engineering guy, he's saying, "Sir, test tube and beaker," and he's like, "Come, I'll show you keyboard. Come, I'll take you to Mysore, put you up in a fancy, training facility, teach you Java, and you're off to the races." So there was this huge tech boom, right? The one criteria that these companies had on campus was academics, right? And I had my A.T.K.T.s to show. So I automatically did not qualify for those sort of hugely interesting jobs. But because there was a boom, बाद में काफ़ी सारे companies आ जाते हैं. They say, अच्छा किसी को कौन place नहीं हुआ है, आप आके बैठ जाओ हमारे truck में. So then that's what happened with me as well. And in 2001, I had an offer before I finished my engineering. That was the thing to do So the other thing to know is 80% of my batch had given their GRE and was set to, halfway through to the US by the time engineering finished. That was just how it was at that time. I wasn't. I had, again, going back to the risk-averse, I was just, yeah, I'm going to do I'm going to be in India. I didn't have the energy to sort of go overseas at the time, so I was happy doing what I was doing. I was like, job karenge, Java mein coding karenge, and be here till about 65 and then retire. 2001, the boom, the dot-com boom became the dot-com bust. Everything collapsed. It was mayhem. Our entire technology world collapsed around us. Everyone lost jobs. And in that process, I lost my job as well. So I had an offer letter 6 months later, same sort of letterhead, revoked. Yeah, right? I mean, you can keep the offer, but there's no office that there is to come to because they shut down. Right? So I was like, okay, abhi kya? What is plan B and plan C? The plan A was US, wo nahi hua. Plan B was job chala gaya. And therefore, plan C was, why don't I do an MBA? Right? And so I was thinking more of an insurance policy कि अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ तो मतलब कोई एक कॉलेज में MBA कर लेंगे, tied over this crazy recession period from 2001 to 2003-4 odd, and then re-attempt to get into the corporate world and find a job. I took my CAT, failed miserably. I also happened to at the same time take the CET, which was the Maharashtra ka version for MBA admissions at that time. That was a bit of a tipping point. I got into a college called Sydenham Institute of Management here in Churchgate, and that is how sort of MBA came about.
Would you say that you were not that ambitious early on?
I would strongly say that, yes. And that changed completely during my 2 years of MBA, right? And that to me was the defining sort of part of my career, those 2 years. And it had part to do with Sydenham and the college itself, but most of it was to do with everything around stuff that happens when you do your MBA, right? Group activities, the stuff, public speaking and everything, which most of you guys now take for granted. That is something that sort of shaped my career, shaped my personality. I went into MBA a very different person, not ambitious, not knowing what is going on, and came out of MBA a lot more focused. I knew by the end of it that I had a few sort of, roughly at least I knew what kind of career I want to be in, what interests me, etc., etc. So that the 2 years really changed or flipped over my thinking from being completely not ambitious and stuff happening to me versus being a little more being in control of what I wanted to do.
Like a Mumbai MBA kid journey is obviously very, very different from what you normally hear about. So also I think you used to compete with colleges here in Mumbai also a lot because they all came via the MH-CET route at that time. So tell us about those days.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In Sydenham, it was a completely student-run college, right? It was government-funded, government-subsidized. To be fair, fantastic faculty, fantastic ways of teaching and all of that. But everything outside of that had to be done by students. So we had to literally organize lectures, call up professors, all of us, literally. That built a very strong sense of community in that student. In all of us, right, as students. We had to work together. Agar job chahiye, to you only get it done. You're the one who's literally calling up companies, being told that, sorry, we stop at the IIMs and we don't go beyond that all the time, but still going at it, right? And that's where I heard the previous speaker finishing towards the end saying, everyone is a salesperson. That was my first experience at selling. I was literally selling the institute, I was selling our students, I was selling myself, saying, "Aap aa jao," and the guy I'm speaking to says, "Are you available for an interview?" I said, "You can't do that, you come on campus and you meet everyone and do your interview." So that was a hugely enriching sort of time. We had no infrastructure, no folks helping us out with all of this. It was all a do it yourself. But that's what worked for us. That's what got us that confidence of speaking with these corporate companies who you had never spoken to in your entire life. HR heads, cold calling HR heads on landlines. We didn't have mobiles then, saying, please, can you come to campus? And while you're at Jamnal Bajaj, who's just across the street, 10 minute ke liye yahan bhi aake 2 students se milke jao, right? That was just the reality. So this was hard selling we had to do. But till today, that skill set that I picked up in 2 years has been, tremendously useful. I use it all the time. when I have to sell even now. Now I am now in the corporate banking and payments world where, I'm selling to different people. I'm selling to, or I'm selling different products, but I'm really selling to the organizations. I'm in B2B sales. So I'm really doing the same thing that I did at Sydenham.
That's the thing, right? Whatever it takes, and you develop that skill and the spirit. Okay, we'll do whatever it takes.
Some of it comes from being second tier almost, right? And if I do an honest self-assessment of my early sort of schooling, engineering, etc., and like I explained, right, because of all my academic performances, etc., I was almost always second tier. The only difference I try to make is I try to use that to my strength. I just try to, I believe that if you're second tier, you'll just work that much harder, right? And this was actually during my MBA days when you used to have these advertising and marketing classes, which actually I used to really enjoy. We were told about this interesting case study from the 1960s, believe it or not. I mean, I wasn't there. I am old, but I'm not 1960s old. But I learned about that in MBA class. There was this case study of Avis and Hertz, right? Hertz used to be the market leader as far as car rental companies is concerned, global market leader in based in the US, but global market leader and all that. And Avis wanted to make an entry and disrupt their business and all of that. They ran this fantastic marketing campaign around we try harder because we are second. If you don't know about this, read about it. It's fantastic. They put out communications just based on that, saying, hey, Avis cannot afford to give you a poor rental ride or whatever. Avis cannot afford to have dirty ashtrays in the car. So they attacked Hertz purely on the basis of saying we are second, so we will try harder. And I realized ये तो हम लोग का story है, that's literally what a lot of my career has been, at least at that time it was. So it just meant that we would just end up trying harder, and that's exactly what we ended up doing during MBA and even after.